Hello, everybody. This is Fernando for the latest aliens and UFOs encounters video. I forget how much people seem to like these videos. There's just something about these encounters, whether they be fascinating ones or actually scary ones, that seem to get the views and the comments and the likes as well. So as a nice little treat, I thought I would mix another one in here while I'm continuing to look at your mysteries and disappearances video. This one definitely has to do with an encounter on the bad side. In fact, this is outright scary when it comes to this encounter. You know why, hear more in a minute. And what's interesting is that this may not just be on the physical level, but this type of encounter may be more on the, I don't know, interdimensional and something involving thought like level, maybe even dreams. Again, you'll know more here in a minute. This one comes from the reddit.com website called Alien Encounters. It's from a user called Tactical Pinata, and they titled theirs as Unexplained Phenomenon, I believe to be alien. They even did a little bit of an update more with regards to that encounter that I'll share here as well. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this very scary experience, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts and comments on there are afterward. So here's what they stated. I'm in my bed, covered in sweat, shaking and scared. This is my second experience with them. The first time they watched me, we weren't in the same room, but I could feel them watching me, and I saw their light from the space in the door frame. It was greenish yellow. Time dilation happens when they first initiate contact. Also, I don't remember hearing any sound at all during either encounter. This time, though, was horrifying. I woke up and saw faces on my ceiling. They weren't detailed, but they looked human. Their features were outlined with a pink light. They're interdimensional and are invisible to my knowledge. I felt two of them grab my arms, and I struggled physically. I think they were really latching onto my consciousness, but our auras are humanoid shaped, so really they were grabbing the energy in my arms. I could feel their grip and their strength. They are smaller and weaker than us, but they have large hands and long fingers. I could feel them pulling on me. Although I got out of bed and struggled physically, pulling and jerking my arms out of their grip in a spasm of defensive flailing against an invisible force, I believe they were trying to separate my consciousness from my body. So in reality, my physical struggle made no difference. After the struggle, it seemed like about a minute, but they let go. I am not on drugs, although mentally, physically, spiritually, I am exhausted. I believe they come for us when we are vulnerable. I survived my encounter and was able to share about it now, but I wonder, when people die or have heart attacks or strokes or just collapse, were they the victims of alien abductions? Are their corpses just hollow vessels left behind by interdimensional soul thieves? And then that's it. That's everything that this user, Tactical Pinata, mentioned in their initial post. But they did do a follow-up afterward. Someone was asking about how these creatures look like more details on it, and this is what they stated. I didn't see the ones holding me, but the faces on the ceiling resembled human faces. 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, and an average head size. Then that's it. That's their follow-up with regards to that. So let's go ahead and let's talk about that here. First off, scary encounter, right? Nobody wants to have this happen to them when they're, as the user mentioned, in the most vulnerable state. Everyone has to sleep. Everyone has to essentially lay in bed and just let their mind drift. Otherwise, you pretty much go insane. So in this case, it seems like whatever these beings were, whether they be aliens or something else, they definitely were taking advantage of it when it came to this user. They had one experience that they stated it looked like it was outside of their room, but they still knew they were there by some freakish greenish yellow light. I don't know about that, but that just makes me eerie. Like, that's just creepy. The idea that you see something in another room happening, an eerie light, and you know it's not supposed to be there, obviously, but there they are, and you can almost sense them. And then a second time, it was right there in that person's room. Imagine that. Imagine waking up, seeing these faces suddenly appear on the ceiling. I'm already getting the chills just thinking about that. And then when that happens, all of a sudden some invisible force is almost grabbing them by the arms. Let's talk about that item that I was mentioning earlier too, where this went more beyond the physical side and more onto the maybe interdimensional or some other type of thing. The way the user was describing it, it felt like whatever they were struggling physically had no effect. It was almost like it was more of a internal struggle involving their consciousness. That's the main word that stood out. It was the idea that it was like a battle of the mind, like something was battle of the mind or maybe of the soul, like something was trying to grab that person's inner aura, and then when that happened they fought back, and it was almost like a tug of war. The idea that I got, it's a bad example but still closest one. If anybody's ever seen that film, Chronicles of Riddick, which is an underrated film, it's a good film. Highly recommend anyone to check it out, especially if you're a fan of the Riddick franchise. There's a character there that actually grabs onto people's souls. Like they grab onto it and then they pull them from the person. And there's a struggle when that happens. And then finally, that's when they win. That evil guy was able to take the various souls from other people, and then that person just basically dies at that point because their physical body no longer has that inner soul, that inner aura within them. That's the impression that I got here. Like there was a tug of war between that person's inner self and then whatever these things were and what they were trying to do. They won, but they still were clearly frightened about the experience and about what was happening, and it left the impression that there was going to be something else that could happen later on. I do like, though, that the user clearly mentioned that they were not on drugs, anything else, influencing them, that it was just 100% real. So that's another thing that stood out with regards to this that makes it seem like, yes, absolutely, if you believe in them by their word, that this is absolutely 100% true and there's no other influence there. And then finally they ended it by stating, going over the options as, what if these things are accidental, like misinterpreted as causing other things in real life, like heart attacks, strokes, or maybe people just collapsing, how it could just be considered another day of just a natural happenstance, but in their mind, in their reality, they're thinking that it could be these things, whatever these aliens are, these metaphysical aliens that are trying to get more souls, more auras, whatever it is, and then it's causing those people to die, and people aren't realizing that that's what the true effect is. A little bit more out there when it comes to that explanation, but that's essentially how they ended their story. So let me know what you guys and gals think. Post those comments below. Scary encounter, right? I don't want to see that on my ceiling. I don't want that to happen in my apartment. So, whatever's happening to this poor person, I feel for them. But I'd love to hear what your comments are. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.